the United Arab Emirates is anticipating a lot of people to arrive here in protest and in demand that the Guptas who are currently living in their country should actually be extradited to the country. Well, if I can move out of the shot at the moment, you can actually see from the actions that the embassy have taken in order to prevent anything that might happen, that might go wrong. They've actually blocked their coat of arms, which were quite visible on their walls there, and the security detail as well, if I may say, has also been beefed up. But joining me now is Nishan Balton, the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Thank you so much for your time, sir. There is an extradition agreement with the UAE. Can you tell us a bit more why you decided to actually assemble here today?
The decision to assemble here was taken before the treaty was signed. In fact, it's about 2 weeks ago. And during that period, in my discussion with the ambassador, he didn't indicate that there was any intention to sign the agreement. Secondly, he was of the view that the obstacles to the signing of the agreement was on the South African side. You are aware that our Minister of Justice in Parliament said that the problem was on the UAE side. However, we are very happy that this has now been signed. We are here today to continuing the work that the foundation has done from 2013 onwards to profile the work, profile this family and their involvement in issues of state capture, and to continue the demand for accountability by them. Our presence here today is to firstly welcome that the treaty has now been signed, but secondly to call on both the UAE and South African governments to ensure that the terms of that extradition treaty is acted upon and acted upon speedily.
Okay, but what demands do you actually have, especially for the UAE government in particular? Here you mentioned that the treaty must be implemented timelessly. Please elaborate.
Well, you are aware that Interpol's services have been obtained by the NPA. What Interpol will do is that they will serve the warrants of arrest. It's up to the UAE law enforcement agencies then to effect their arrests and to ensure that the Guptas are put onto a plane and brought back to South Africa as a matter of urgency. That also means that they need to do everything possible to ensure that the Guptas don't flee from Dubai to any other place where either Interpol might not be able to deal with them or for which South Africa doesn't have an extradition treaty. And lastly, our other area of focus is to ensure that both the South African and UAE government work as hard as possible to obtain seizure of warrants, asset seizures in Dubai itself, as they've done in South Africa, because that's all part of the ways in which we would be able to recoup some, if not most, of the money that this family is alleged to have siphoned off from this country, which is 50 billion at a conservative estimate, and perhaps much more than that.
Yes. And everybody knows how notorious the Guptas are. You know, we've seen media reports of state capture and everything. But in particular, what is Ahmed Kathrada Foundation's interest in this particular matter?
Well, our interest is that they are central to the project of state capture in this country. They have brought about the destruction of Eskom, Transnet, the NEL, the Free State Provincial Government, the medical services in the Northwest, and they are said to have had a hand in the appointment of ministers, state-owned enterprises, boards, key public servants, officials. So in a sense, they were running a parallel government in this country. They need to come and account for the almost near collapse of governance in this country, and the devastation that they have caused to the millions of poor people, primarily in South Africa today.
So you're saying South Africa would have been a better country without the interference of these Gupta family?
I would say that. I would say that the period of state capture by them, together with their support of the former president, was perhaps the worst period in this country. That even the current president of South Africa has made similar kinds of comments. We certainly would not have been in the dire situation that we are today. We would have had problems, but I think we would have been better able to deal with some, if not all of them.
And as a parting shot, justice, the wheel of justice is actually rolling. There are certain things that are happening. Ministers implicated have gone to the state capture and they might be prosecuted. What is your reaction to that, the developments thus far?
I think for a long while we were hoping that we'd start seeing the kinds of action that we're seeing today. I think Sharmila Botwe, Armani Cronier, and the team at the NPA, the Hawks, and all of the other agencies seem to be working in a more coherent way today, and we need to express our gratitude to them. They seem to have put together very tight cases, unlike the previous Estina case that was thrown out. And we can only but hope that together with the support of the public in this country, our agencies and our government would be able to eradicate this current phase of state capture, but then also work towards eradicating its manifestation across municipalities and provinces where it has now become very apparent on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you very much. That was Nishan Balton, who's the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, actually saying that the Guptas were running a parallel government here in South Africa and they need to come back and account. Currently they are in the UAE and we are outside the UAE embassy where they want the authorities to fast track that particular extradition. And if I may add, from the information that has came in, we understand that the embassy is currently closed down due to a COVID-19 infection, and in fact there won't be anyone from the embassy who will be coming to receive a memorandum from the representatives of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. And with that, it's back to studio.